What is going on, all of you groovy warriors out there in the world? I'm NecroDancer. Thank you for watching this review video. Whether you are a new or returning viewer, I appreciate you stopping by here. And today, I'm giving my thoughts over the last couple of weeks that I spent with the newly released Rift of the NecroDancer from Brace Yourself Games. This is the same team that made Crypt of the NecroDancer, was kind of their big hit, followed by Cadence of Hyrule, which was a similar game with a Zelda spin on the Nintendo Switch. But here we have a new release being Rift of the NecroDancer with a lot of the characters you love and remember from Crypt of the NecroDancer with a new gameplay twist here. So just a heads up, this is going to be a fully non-spoiler review just because, like, there's not a lot to talk about with spoilers, except for, like, maybe some of the events of the story mode, but I feel like they're not really significant enough to go into detail about. I'll get into that in a second, but essentially Rift of the NecroDancer is, instead of being like Crypt of the NecroDancer, which if you don't know is kind of like a dungeon crawler game, like a Zelda game almost, mashed up with rhythm elements. So like you would have to move your character to the beat and attack on the beat. And personally, I found that pretty challenging. I never got very far in Crypt of the NecroDancer because of just like my brain couldn't keep up with both the movement and attacking and the rhythm as well. This game, Rift of the NecroDancer, is more along the lines of an actual rhythm game. Right off the bat, one thing I do want to say, once we jump in here, there are some calibration settings which are super nice. The accessibility in this game is great. Super nice to have the calibration settings, so if you're, using like Bluetooth earbuds, for example, I get some latency there. Or you can see here I'm going through the capture card versus like native speakers or headphones plugged in. Like, it's good to have that option. I literally do that every time I play the game just to be safe. Because you obviously, as a rhythm game, you want to be able to be on the beat and not off in any way. So that's nice to have. So right off the bat, there are a lot of different modes in this game. The main version would be something like a Guitar Hero, for example, or like a Beat Saber. You go in and you just have a list of songs you can play. A lot of great artists here, of course, Danny Baranowski, the composer returning from Crypt of the NecroDancer, as well as some artists like Jules Conroy, who you might have heard before in other games. I believe he did some of the songs for Cadence of Hyrule. Josie Breckner, I hope I pronounced her name right. Alex Mukala, love his stuff. He's super funky. Love that he's here. Sam Webster, Nick Nosbaum. So not just Danny B, mostly Danny B, but a lot of other like guests artists as well. And for now, some crossovers like Super Meat Boy. That was actually pretty recent as of this recording. That those few tracks were added. So I imagine they'll add more down the line, but let's get into the actual gameplay here. I'll just play a song quickly, actually. Why not just do that? I'll do some of the tutorial here. Let's just start. First of all, you also have different difficulty options: easy, medium, hard, and impossible. I'm not great at this game. I'm just going to preface that. I'm better than I am at Crypt of the NecroDancer. Medium is like my go-to. Even then, I have a lot of challenge sometimes with that. There are different modifiers you can add, which I don't really mess around too much with. So this is like regular mode for playing these songs where you just, those songs are specifically designed to be played. Remix mode is kind of procedurally generated. But let's jump into here and I'll show you what the actual gameplay is like, because, you may not be a fan of rhythm games necessarily, but what's cool about this game, it's not just your basic rhythm game. Like in Crypt of the NecroDancer, you have the combat where you're fighting enemies. They have the team did a really cool spin on it where it really feels like combat on like a Guitar Hero-esque lane where, yeah, technically the enemies are notes that you're trying to hit and attack, but different enemies have different attack patterns that we'll jump into here. Also, something to keep in mind, this is the Steam version. Ideally, you'd probably want to play this on keyboard and mouse, or just a keyboard. I did not do that. I'm playing on a controller, and it was fine. I played on Steam Deck a lot, and it was fine. It's just like, you essentially need two sets of arrow keys for this. So what I do is I use the D-pad and then I use the face buttons, which isn't the most ideal. So you probably want to do this if you're on PC, you probably want to play this on keyboard. But you can see here, we've got these enemies coming in, and sometimes you have to hit more than one at a time. Ooh, I did that accidentally. But what's cool is, yeah, they're almost like different notes. But, for example, you can see here, these green slimes take one hit, but the blue slimes take 2 hits. So they're constantly, and the gold ones take 3. They're constantly navigating around the lanes here. Which is a neat idea, because otherwise, yeah, on its surface, it could just be like a Guitar Hero clone, but it's not. It really feels like its own element because there are all sorts of enemy attack patterns. Like there are the slimes, there are bats, there are these like knights that charge at you. I think there's like, I forget what they're called. Harpies, maybe. There's skeletons. There's like a lot of the enemies that I'm pretty sure were in Crypt and NecroDancer. Crypt and NecroDancer fans, you can confirm for me in the comments below. But I believe these enemies were in those games, and yeah, you would fight them there. I don't know how similar they are here, but it's kind of cool because enemies pretty much act as notes in the songs you're playing to the beat and the rhythm. It's really cool. It's honestly a really neat idea, which I appreciate. And they have all sorts of attack patterns. Sometimes they change lanes on you too. Those are the scary ones. So you really need to be on your toes, which is why I'm not great at this game, because like, especially when there's a lot of enemies in the songs and they're moving back and forth, it could be quite a bit, you know, to keep track of. So like these guys take 2 hits, for example, and then they slide up, they lose their heads and they slide up. Oh, here are the bats. I won't play this whole tutorial, but just to kind of give you a basic example of, you know, some of the songs that are in here. I don't believe all of these songs are original for this game. Definitely fans, correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong. I think most of the Danny B songs are original. A few of them are remixes from Crypt the NecroDancer, so if you like that music, you might like some of the ones in here. I believe this one actually is a remix from Crypt the NecroDancer, I think. Correct me about that. But even like the guest artists, I don't think all of their songs are original, but I could be wrong. The soundtrack is up on streaming services for those of you who are interested in listening to it like I was outside of the game. This D-pad is weird, like the up is a little finicky. But you can see here, like, especially starting with the bats, like, enemy movements start to get interesting. Sometimes they can move from, like, the right side over to the left side without going in the middle and vice versa. It's, like, honestly, it could be a lot. And, like, you usually have about 10 health per level, and there are, like, items like apples and cheese that show up. Oh, I see I messed up there, okay. And those can refill your hearts. So yeah, it's kind of cool. That's enough for the tutorial for now. I do want to mention some of the side mode stuff a bit, because that is the main mode of this game, is just playing these different songs. Like I said, there's the remix mode where all those enemies are procedurally generated. There's like a different seed. And there's a, you know, it just, whatever you boot up the song, it picks one of those like thousands of seeds, right? To play, which that can be really tough. It's definitely harder than the basic mode, but it's a good challenge if you want it there. I did get through most of the songs, just regular mode and remix mode, but I didn't get through all of them. Some of them I had to lower the difficulty a little bit just to get through. Like I said, I'm not great at this game. I do want to shout out, there are daily challenges that you can do. So this is refreshed every day. Let's attempt this daily challenge for now. It's probably not going to go well. I mean, I tuned it down to easy, so maybe it'll be fine. But this will give you more of an example of an actual song and seeing the different enemy types in this game, because there are a lot. Like, there are enemies that move to different beats and, like, skip a bunch of rows, so that's kind of... You really have to be on your toes in this game. This is not a podcast game. Let me put it that way. But the music is great. This is a Josie Breckner song. I hope I'm pronouncing that okay. But you can also, similar to like Star Power and Guitar Hero, for example, there will be a lot of comparisons to Guitar Hero. There are occasionally these strings of notes, if you do well enough, that show up, and if you attack all the enemies correctly, then you'll essentially gain a star power, which is good for like segments that you're having a lot of trouble with. It's good to kind of power through those, and you can kind of hang in there and not worry about like losing your health. So it's good for that. The thing with the daily challenges is you only get one shot. What? Oh, it's because my D-pad's acting up on this controller, man. Yeah, I need a new controller. I'm using the wired Xbox 360 controller. I wonder if the Switch Pro controller would work with this game. Alright, I'm probably not going to do this whole thing, just to not have this review going for too long, but you kind of get the idea of the main mode. Custom music is really cool. I want to see what the community does with this, because they're really opening up to a lot of different options. These are the only few I've noticed right now. Like, someone added Megalovania, Conga Kappa from the original Crypt NecroDancer. Hot Damned might be... Oh, actually, no, these are the ones that I installed. That's what it is. That might be from Super Meat Boy. Could be wrong about that. Let me know in the comments below. But I hope people continue to make music, because it's cool that they have that option to create stuff there. A big part of this game, and one that you might want to jump into, honestly, is the story mode. Has a lot of different scenarios. There are different cutscenes. The story, like I hinted at earlier, it's nothing to write home about. It's a pretty basic, bare-bones story of like, Cadence and her friends got warped to essentially the real world, and they're trying to figure out how to get back and how to like close these rifts, as they call them, which sent them from the Crypt of the NecroDancer world to what I imagine is supposed to be like Earth. You know what I mean? What's cool though, so these are the tutorials, is there are cutscenes, story cutscenes, but there's also some in-between minigames and different gameplay styles that are quite a bit different than the main rhythm riffs, they call them, which are like those Guitar Hero-esque games we look like. This game is almost a bit of a mashup of a few different types of gameplay. And these minigames here, actually, I wonder if it'd be easier to select from the other menu. Let me do that. These minigames here are almost like a rhythm heaven type of thing, where you're still moving to the rhythm. I believe I think you can select them in the extras mode. Let me see. Hello. There we go. Minigames, here we go. So like you can go in, and play. There's a bunch of different minigames. I mean, not like a ton, but like I'd say probably like 4 or 5 throughout the game. And yeah, very much if you've ever played Rhythm Heaven or seen Rhythm Heaven before. Oh, what? Oh, I guess I pressed out. There's just like, they're kind of just like little, oh crap, did it too soon. You know what I mean? You have to kind of keep up and keep up with everybody. And like I said, it's really hard to talk and play this game because it's very much, like you really need to be paying attention, feel the beat. But I do find it a lot easier. I'm not gonna do the whole thing. I do find it a lot easier than the the gameplay, at least for me in Crypt of the NecroDancer, because this is like at its core a rhythm game, and so it's nice to kind of have that option and it, like actually be focused on the rhythm more so. Like with the Crypt of the NecroDancer, my biggest thing was like just being able to keep track of the dungeon crawling and the rhythm elements together was a lot. This is definitely more like, it's more of a rhythm game with kind of combat intertwined in the main modes, but then you have separate modes like these. I won't show you all the boss battles, just show you a little bit, because the boss battles are also very different. These bosses are almost, I don't know how to put these, but like from what I've seen, this is more like a traditional rhythm game. I think like some of the Hatsune Miku games, fans can let me know in the comments below. These boss battles scattered throughout the story mode are almost like that style where you're just trying to line up the note to the circle. And almost like the perspective reminds me of Punch-Out. I know it's not quite Punch-Out because it's a rhythm element, but like, I don't know. I very much get that Punch-Out vibe, and you're like hitting left and right and up. It's kind of cool. But yeah, so essentially, I don't find these too difficult, honestly. I kind of wish they were more challenging. Only the final boss was really the most challenging one for me, for sure. But, it's definitely... I'll get out of this before I spoil any longer. It's nice and refreshing. It's like... It's not just that main rift mode that you saw with the enemies coming towards you, kind of like Guitar Hero style. Which on its own is really cool because it has the combat elements intertwined. It's nice to have those mini games and those boss battles sprinkled throughout the story mode to kind of like breathe in some fresh air to the gameplay, and it makes it definitely fun. The story mode's not super long. It's a decent amount of content, but it's a rhythm game. You probably wouldn't expect too much, but it's there. There also are challenges for you to do. I couldn't do all of these because a lot of these are fixed difficulties, but like for example, here some of the enemies are obscured. You have to like pay attention to what they are farther up. This one you have to land every perfect note. That can be kind of tricky. Smoke covering the rift so you can't really see partially what notes are coming at you. So there's some fun challenges, but like I said, I couldn't get through all of them. They were kind of difficult. And of course, like the settings, just like a good amount of accessibility options here. I mean, here, color blindness is great. Having the background animation, static monsters, like look at all these. Remove guitar strings. There's a lot of options for accessibility if you want to kind of, mix around with that, which is great. Especially the colorblind options, like because some of the enemies rely on noticing the colors to know what their patterns are. That's definitely something you want to have, a mode for where everybody, even if they're like colorblind, can be able to do that. But yeah, I mean, just to wrap up this review, like overall, like I do like this game. It doesn't have, I'm curious to see the longevity of this game, right? The post-launch support, because I think the team's going to rely a lot on the custom song creation, which is a cool feature. I haven't explored too much of that. The base content that is here isn't a ton. I mean, it's not a super expensive game. I think it was what, like 20 bucks maybe on Steam, maybe even 15. I don't know. Definitely double check me on that. But like the story mode's kind of a fun little time to go through. Not the story's nothing to write home about, just keep that in mind. But like there's a lot of different kind of rhythm gameplay varieties here. The main one being the rhythm riffs that are really fun, very hectic. It gets very difficult, and sometimes it's a bit I mean, this is a rhythm game problem in general, where playing medium difficulty on one song is not the same as playing medium difficulty on another song. That's not like an issue specific to this game that happens with the Guitar Hero, for example, right? But I don't know, it's fun. If you're looking for a fun rhythm game with a unique twist, I think it's a good option. Currently, it's only on Steam. I believe the Switch version is coming soon. I don't know if they've announced the release date. Originally, it was going to launch day and date, but they had to delay the Switch version. And I don't know if it's going to be on other platforms, but at least for now, it's on Steam. And you can pay like an extra $5 if you want to upgrade to help support the team a little extra. That's what I ended up doing, get this like nifty background and costume. It's not much, but it's, hey, if you want it. And the Super Meat Boy update was free. I hope they have more free updates in the future. Listen, if Hatsune Miku can come to the main Crypt NecroDancer game, I feel like it's inevitable she'll be added to Rift, right? But who's to say? I would like to see other elements there. But yeah, anyways, everybody, overall, just enjoyed my time with it. I would give it a recommend if you're into any sort of rhythm gameplay. If you're a fan of the original game, I would give it a shot. You don't have the dungeon crawling aspect of the original, but if you really like the music of Crypt of the NecroDancer, I would give this a shot. You know, it's really fun to play along with the songs, and hopefully they'll have more content in the future. I'm sure they will. At least have a couple more crossovers or something. But with that, everybody, it's going to do it for this review video. Thank you for watching. If you did, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've played the original Crypt of the NecroDancer or Cadence of Hyrule, let me know your interest level for this game. Or if you have played this game, you know, let me know what your thoughts are overall. Keep it non-spoiler. Not that there's a ton to spoil, but like mainly ending story stuff. Just let's keep this out of the comments. But thank you again for watching. I will catch you all on the next video or live stream. And until then, keep on grooving, stay funky.